We've got a nice varied update for you today in the world of Pan Those Eyeshadows. In some ways we've got some impressive progress and in other ways we've got some disappointing progress. But either way, I'm still excited to share what has been going on this month in the world of eyeshadow. Welcome back to the channel and welcome if you are new. My name is Alex and my necklace is tangled. I am obsessed with eyeshadow. I love panning makeup, and I love using up what I have. So if you love any of those things too, then please do consider subscribing or just leave me a little like if you want to. That also helps the channel out and I really do appreciate it. For those of you who have subscribed already, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. Let's talk about some makeup. Pan Those Eyeshadows is done a few different ways by a few different creators. The way I like to do it is I have my eyeshadows in a spreadsheet and I just random number generate 5 eyeshadows out of that spreadsheet, and then I work on those shadows and attempt to pan them, or you get to 20 uses depending on which happens first if I really think that I'm not going to get pan on it. I actually have 6 eyeshadows to talk about this month just because I rolled in an extra eyeshadow just because I had one use left on one of my eyeshadows in the project. So I'll talk about that one first because it's not that exciting. And this was in my Beauty Bay Rich palette and it was the shade Mulberry, which is this deep dark purpley shade, which very much enjoyed. And it's just a deep dark moody purple, very good for smoky looks and very good for deepening up in the outer corner as well. It was just a shade that I just didn't have any hope of getting pan on because it was mainly used as a deepening up shade and it's quite hard to get pan on an eyeshadow just using it for that. And then in place of that palette I did roll in the Nomad Witch City Salem palette, and it was the shade Hocus Pocus that I rolled in, which as you can probably tell is basically the exact same shade of purple again. I'd already rolled out one shade, so I just accepted my fate. So there is a little bit of a difference there, and you can just see the difference in performance in those swatches as well. The Nomad versus Beauty Bay. Unfortunately, I haven't actually got any uses on that shade this month, just because I was feeling a bit burnt out by that shade of purple actually, but that's okay. We can't have mega usage on everything every month, and this has been quite a light makeup month for me in general anyway. But the rest of my updates I think aren't too bad. Actually, this update is actually quite boring as well. This is the I Get Temptation palette and I've been working on the shade Plume, which is this dark green shade over here, and unfortunately I only got one use on this month, bringing my total to 8 uses in the project so far. And there's that Plume shade there swatching very beautifully. It's just been quite difficult because I've had quite a lot of quite purpley, pinky, browny, orangey shades in the project, and it just doesn't go with anything else in the project, so it means that it has to end up being in a standalone look, and therefore it's just less motivating for me to use that shade, so I'm less likely to use it, even though I really do love the shade and I love the palette. And I did actually do a 7 looks 1 palette video with this palette, so if you haven't seen that already I will link it up in the cards for you to check out as well. Unfortunately not the best progress on that one, but I assure you it gets a lot more exciting from here on out in the video. So then our next palette, which was rolled in last month, and this was the Medusa palette, and it was the shade Temple Dust that was rolled in, which was this deep dark moody red shade here. There you go. So as you can see, that green is just still a little bit of an outlier with all these reds and purples. I love this palette so much. I love the way it performs. I love every single colour in it. I love every single shade in here is a very me shade. Actually, the only one that's not a me shade is probably this bright purple here. I'm not a huge purple fan on me. I've very much enjoyed wearing Temple Dust. I just keep repeating this look because I love it so much. And that's using Temple Dust, Wicked Bloom and Petrify, and then a shade from one of my other palettes in this project as well, which I will show you in a minute. We got 5 uses on Temple Dust this month, and that means we're 15 uses away from rolling this out because, again, with such a deep dark moody shade, I feel like I'm very unlikely to actually end up hitting pan on that. The most exciting update I think for this video is the BH Cosmetics Power Play palette. I still haven't figured out what this palette's actual name is. Let's go with the pan first because that's very exciting. So we have finally hit pan on Soul down there, which I'm so pleased about because This is actually my least favourite palette in my collection, and I've been so annoyed that I've had to work on 2 shades in it for so long. We got 4 more uses on the shade Soul this month, and that meant that we hit pan with 17 uses in the project in total. So it's just a very easy mid-toned brown, just a perfect crease shade, and quite nice just to do like easy everyday work looks with as well. So that is Soul there. And then our final shade that we are rolling out this month is the shade Courage, which is just this one here. It's just this shimmery sort of frosty kind of pink shade. Again, I'm wearing it today and actually have ended up liking it a lot more than I did when I first started. A good dollop of glitter primer helps this really shine, but it is just a bit of an old school shimmer formula. It's very frosty instead of bright and sparkly, which I think is more the vibe now. And then that is my swatch down there. I used Courage 9 times this month to finally get to my 20 uses on Courage, because I just thought if Soul is rolling out with a pan, I don't want to just have Courage sticking around any longer than I need it to be. And it did really work with Soul as like an easy everyday work look, and then it also worked really well with Temple Dust as a more sort of like smoky red look like I've done today. So that meant that it was quite easy to get the 20 uses on Courage, and there's not really any sign of a pan showing in there. I know that some people find it easier to get pan in shimmers, but I really don't, because I usually apply shimmers with my finger, which means that you get like a less focused approach to the pan. So when I use my finger, it tends to take a little bit longer to pan things, which I think is what has happened here with Courage. We are finally getting rid of this Nude Ego palette, and then the Beauty Bay Witch palette will finally be going as well. But the Salem Witch City palette is already rolled in that place. We are now working on Temple Dust in Medusa, still working on Plume in Agate Temptation, and we're working on Hocus Pocus in Salem Witch City, and then I'll be rolling 2 more new shades in. Okay, so we've got our random number generator up, and let's see what we've got. So we got the number 414 and 339. I'm actually pretty excited with what we've rolled in. These are brand new palettes to this project that we haven't seen before in it, which is always nice. So the number 414 is my Smoky palette by Beauty Bay. It was the shade Void down here, which is this super cool looking pewter shade. And I don't think I've ever used that shade before, which we love to see. Look at that. Oh wow, that is some cool toned, smoky, sparkly goodness there. And then the other shade was from a palette that I've actually never used before, and it is the Blend Bunny Longing palette. And I really coveted this palette for a long time, just because it was so unique, and I'd never really seen anything like it with how muted it is. But a lot of these cool tones don't really work for me, I've got to say. Cool toned blues, greens, purples, they do make me look a little bit dead. And then I'm not sure about these, which is why I never ended up touching it. If this isn't an excuse to get more acquainted with the palette, then I don't know what is. Oh wow, and the shade that we've actually rolled in is the Twist of Fate up here, which is this very pale lavender sort of shade. That is the Twist of Fate shade from the Longing palette, and I'm actually so excited to start getting some use on this palette, because I do try and no pan left behind all of my palettes in this project off camera as well. Here is our new colour story, and it's still looking pretty dark and dank and moody. We haven't got any of that spring invigoration that I thought we might have. I suppose this little pastel matte is slightly springy, but with the other shades it's not that springy. But that's okay. So that's our new colour story, and that is our old colour story. But I'm just excited to change it up a little bit, and that is part of the fun of this project, is it's forcing you out of your comfort zone, forcing you to use shadows that you wouldn't normally think about. And I'm delighted the project has finally given me an excuse to crack into that Blend Bunny Longing palette. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video and enjoyed the update, and I'll catch you in the next one.